Hey guys, it's Rufus. So today I'm making a video on aim, and the purpose of this is to understand that aim isn't that important. Aim is only a small factor, and while you can win gunfights by aim, most of the time it's going to be about decision making. And even though every gunfight is going to come down to aim at the end of the day, what leads up to that is going to be your decision making. So if you make good decisions and put your enemy in a bad position, your aim's not going to matter because you're going to be able to shoot them before they can flick around and shoot you, right? So, really, I think that people need to stop spending so much time on aim. I see people do it all the time. I'll see people spend like an hour or more on aim, and that's just ridiculous. Because scientifically, you're not even going to get any benefit from that, and I'll explain why in a moment. However, when it comes to training aim, I have some suggestions in order to keep you reactive and ready. Now, first, I suggest that you play Disarm Bomb, and the reason for that is there's more terrorists, and they come to you rather than you going to them. When you run at the terrorists and then you ADS, you're not really getting that same aim practice. However, when you're already ADS'd and you're getting hoarded by a bunch of terrorists, you're going to get some good practice because you're forced to react fast, you're forced to make decisions quickly, and you're forced to kind of just flick between each terrorist versus having a bunch of time to actually aim, because when you're ADSing and then you aim, it's not really aiming. You're not reacting quickly. So I'd suggest using Disarm Bomb, and you're going to find yourself with a lot better practice, because not only do the terrorists come to you, there's going to be 60 of them versus I think it's like 30 or something that are in elimination. However, besides that, I suggest also switching between maps, and that's because I've noticed when I go for one map for a really long time, I'll kind of like get used to it and I'll know where the terrorists are going to be. And so when you already know where the terrorists are, you're not going to get that same practice. And this is especially true in elimination, because in elimination, you'll find yourself kind of pre-firing where the terrorists are because you already know where they are. And so that's another reason to use Disarm Bomb. When the terrorists are moving around and coming to you, they're less predictable. Now, my next recommendation is going to come back to the scientific part of aim. If you want to improve your aim and get that long-term benefit, you need to not practice your aim so much. And that's because when you train your aim for an hour or more, or even like 40 minutes, you're just wearing yourself out. You're not going to get improvement because you're just going to be so tired. So training aim in intervals is super helpful. What I'll do is I'll warm up, I'll do 5 to 10 minutes of aim training, and then I'll go play, my scrims or games or whatever. And in between games, you re-warm up. What this does is it not only keeps your brain warmed up, it makes it so you're consistently getting practice, and all that 5 to 10 minutes of warming up adds up to like 30 to 40 minutes. So you're still getting the same amount of practice, but you're just doing it in intervals, and you're actually doing a lot more for you scientifically, and here's why. Well, actually, I don't know why, but in the study, which I'll link in the description below, it's a nice article, I suggest you read it. It explains that when people train their aim for more than a few minutes at a time, they're not actually getting any benefit. But when you have an interval, like I mentioned, you actually get a lot more long-term benefit. The reason for this, I suspect, is because your brain and your body just kind of gets worn out from a lot of practice. So when you train your aim too much, you're not doing much for yourself. I also recommend switching your sensitivity in practice. And note that I said in practice, not actually switching your sensitivity is very important. You don't want to switch your sense and go in game because you're just going to miss a lot of shots. But when you switch your sensitivity for, say, one session of T-Hunt, you're forcing your brain to stay reactive. You're forcing your brain to stay like aware of your sensitivity, aware of how much it requires to, say, hit a shot. Because your brain will get lazy and your brain will stop thinking about aim if you just use the same sensitivity all the time. So here's what I'll do. I'll go into T-Hunt and I'll just go for one taps with Soph's pistol, because going for one taps, in my opinion, is the best way to warm up. What you do is you actually warm up your aim rather than, say, using an AR, which you're just spraying with. When you're spraying with an AR, you will miss a lot of shots, and you're not getting that same practice. It's a different type of practice, but it's not the same. I do suggest doing both, because what I'll do after I play Zoph is I'll pick an operator such as Maverick, which I play all the time, and I'll practice his recoil, I'll practice flicking with his gun, and all of that. But I suggest doing both, because you really want to train every aspect of aim. And by every aspect, I mean flicking, I mean recoil control, and I mean tracking. Tracking is when you're following an enemy with your crosshair. Say somebody's moving, you've got to keep your crosshair on them in order to hit your shots. So tracking is kind of a difficult thing to practice in T-Hunt, which is where aim trainers come into play. You can use aim labs or Kovacs or whatever, but training your aim with tracking is super helpful, because a lot of the times when you lose gunfights, it's because you fail to keep your crosshair on an enemy. But the purpose of this video is really to just let people know that training your aim a lot isn't necessary, because it's all about decision making. So if you want to follow my Twitter, Discord server, or Patreon, link will be in the description below. But that's all to say for this video, and if you learned something, give the video a like, and if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe. Toodles!